Hey babes, and welcome to the BJJ Babes podcast, episode 5. I'm your host, Laura. So this week in the jiu-jitsu world, I don't know how many of you follow the professional fighters, but this is on the tails of IBJJF Masters Worlds and Jiu-Jitsu Con, the One Championship, which is a fight sports organization, had a fight night in Denver. Mikey Musumeci was set to fight Cade Rotolo for the 170-pound belt, which would have been a really cool match. They're both a lot of fun to watch, really entertaining grapplers. Unfortunately, Cade got hurt and had to pull out. So One Championship found a replacement for the fight for Mike to fight. Unfortunately, the replacement was in the, I want to say, 134-pound and underweight category. It was essentially a 30-pound weight difference, give or take. Math is not my strong suit, between the opponent that Mike Musumeci was planning to fight and the opponent they ended up finding him to fight. So Musumeci, on 48 hours notice, had to do a drastic weight cut. And he missed weight and he missed hydration because One Championship measures hydration. And he actually ended up in the hospital. He's in the hospital. He says it's from a breathing method that he was using that he got from Rickson Gracie. Not certain exactly what happened, but I think the bottom line here is he was cutting weight on 48 hours notice. This isn't a normal situation where an athlete fails to make weight. I'm going to have in a future episode a BJJ nutritionist, Mike from Unorthodox Nutrition, and we'll go into it in more detail and get his take. But I did just want to say, because it is recent events, that weight cuts are not something to undertake without the help of a professional. They can be dangerous, and even someone as professional as Mikey Musumeci can end up hospitalized by trying to do it on short notice without the opportunity to plan it properly. And again, this isn't the situation where someone is being unprofessional and missing weight because of that. This is a situation where someone switched from bulking to cutting, and this is the result we see. And I really hate to see it. I'm a huge fan of Mike Musumeci, so I'm wishing him the best, hoping for a speedy recovery for him and that we can see him back fighting soon. Getting on to this week's guest, it's a little bit of a remix this week. I'll be talking to my friend Jeannie, who is a boxer and a Muay Thai artist and a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu white belt. She's only been training about 4 months in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So we're talking about women in fight sports generally and some commonalities being a woman in the fight sports world. And I've known Jeannie since I think about 2019. We met on the island of Guam when we were both living there. And I didn't train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu when I lived in Guam, but Guam has a very strong fight sports community. Jeannie was a part of it. They're very big into BJJ there, MMA, Muay Thai. Frank the Crank Camacho is from Guam. He fought in the UFC. Jeannie fought at Steel Athletics under JJ Ambrose, who is now a retired MMA fighter. Just last week at Jiu-Jitsu Con and Masters Worlds, Guam had a large number of athletes competing there, including athletes who came over from Guam, and they all took a photo together, and it was in the local newspapers in Guam. So it was really cool to see a place that I have a lot of love for represented in the sport I have a lot of love for. So with that, here is my interview with Jeannie Markowski. Hope you enjoy. Hey, Jeannie.
Hi.
Happy Tuesday. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for asking me on.
So for the listeners, we have Jeannie here from Colorado. Jeannie, do you want to give a brief introduction of who you are and what your story is?
Yeah, I would love to. I'll try to keep it brief. I started, in regarding to fight sports, I started boxing about 10 years ago. It was 2015, so almost 10 years. I was at Penn State, And my roommate's boyfriend asked me if I wanted to go to like a boxing club practice. They had like a competitive team, and then they had like open club practices for anybody who wanted to go. So I was like, yeah, let's try it. Why not?
Yeah.
And so we started going together once a week. I really fell in love with the sport. The team captain at the time came up to me and was like, you should try out for the competitive team. And I was like, that feels crazy. Like I've been a lifelong athlete, but I've never done a fight sport and never really saw myself doing that. But I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I tried out for the team. It was me and like one other girl and probably 50 dudes. And it was just like 2 days of sparring and hours of conditioning and all that, running stairs and going until people threw up. And I made the team. I made the cut. So I just started competing right out of the gate, and I really fell in love with it. I fell in love with my team atmosphere and just like the competitive aspect of it. And I competed for 2 years. I got on the team my sophomore year. I competed my junior and senior year. Went to nationals both years. Got second my junior year and third my senior year. So I was a 2-time All-American, which truly never expected. And then when I graduated college, I ended up moving out to Guam, which is where we met. And quickly fell into the fight scene there. I worked at an MMA / CrossFit gym. Had a couple fights, had a boxing fight, a kickboxing fight, and an MMA fight. So kind of started dipping my toes in different fight sports, but was mainly just doing it like charity fights and things like that. And then eventually found my way out to Colorado, coached at a boxing gym here that was kind of like a title boxing gym, like just a bunch of bags and beginner boxers. And then I had my own private coach, and he opened his own practice in January, which is mainly BJJ and Muay Thai gym. So that's when I really dove into BJJ and Muay Thai and continued coaching boxing. So brand new to BJJ, probably I've only done it for about 4 months. And it was a really scary experience to go from, like, I felt more comfortable diving into Muay Thai, even though it was new, because I'm a striker at heart. And kind of already knew like a half or a third of the sport. BJJ was like totally new to me. So it was really exciting to dive in. And that's brought me to today.
Anyway. I remember when like you were boxing on Guam and you were teaching, and I was always like, I'm going to go to Jeannie's class. Like, I'm going to go. And I just never went. And I didn't train fight sports at all on Guam, but it was such a big part of the island community. And you were at Steel?
Yeah, I was at Steel Athletics, and they were owned by a professional MMA fighter who grew up in California, and his wife was from Guam. So they really had like, he brought it kind of in all the military community, and she brought in the locals, and they really like created a really nice meld of people there. It was very cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then when you started this year with the Muay Thai and BJJ, what got you to try branching out into those other combat sports?
I think, well, for a long time, I just felt really stagnant. Like the whole time, the first like couple years that I've been in Colorado for about 2.5 years. And for the first probably 2 years, I was just coaching at this boxing gym. And it was kind of like a title. There was a bunch of bags. There was like dark lights and like it was kind of like a clubby atmosphere. I had like a mic. Like I felt like Britney Spears.
Oh my God. It's like a Soul Cycle for boxing.
Totally. Yeah, it was like that. And I think that there's like totally a place for that.
Yeah.
In the fighting community, like for people who don't want to fight, or people who just want to use it as a workout, or people who feel brand new to it. I think that that's like a really great place for them to start out. But I really found myself missing sparring and missing that higher level and missing people who were going to push me in the sport. Like I felt like I was pushing other people and like lifting people up, which felt really nice. But I felt like I was kind of losing my edge. And if you've ever like fought or sparred before, it's like an addicting thing. It's really hard to stop doing that.
Yeah. Much more recently I've learned that.
Yeah. Totally. So when you find yourself just hitting a bag all the time, you're like, what's the point of this if I'm not putting it into practice? Yeah. So when my coach took me aside and told me that he was starting his own gym, he's somebody that I just like respect so much. And I just knew that he could teach me and like bring me to a whole new level. And I was really scared. I was nervous to dip my toes in because I really love I think everybody likes to do things that they're good at and they already feel confident in. So I knew that it was going to be kind of a humbling thing for me. And that's kind of where the growth is. So I was excited to dive in.
Yeah. I think it gets harder as you're older too, because like there are certain things you've been doing that you started when you were young and you continue them. So you have like this knowledge base, and starting something, you know, for me in my mid-30s, I was like, it's really hard to start something brand new that you're not immediately good at. It is definitely
totally. Yeah, when I started boxing, I was 19, and I definitely have felt, and now I'm 29, so there's a huge change in my body between that time. I was fighting, my weight class was 119 when I was in college, and now like I'm a completely different athlete. I weigh like 145, 150, and I weigh different muscle build, like I'm doing different sports. I didn't know how it would look for me. So it was a little bit scary being the athlete that I am now versus the athlete that I was.
Yeah.
But I think I'm much more well-rounded and stronger, and like mentally much stronger as well.
Yeah. What was your first jiu-jitsu class like once you switched over to the new gym?
Oh my God. It was scary. I was nervous, and I knew that, like I trust my coach a lot, and I already knew some people in the class. So that felt really good.
Yeah.
I knew that I'd be really well taken care of, and that there were some other beginners there with me. So that definitely made me feel like less alone in that. But it felt totally out of my element. Like as a striker, I am, and also just the type of fighter I am, I like to keep my distance. I'm not like an inside fighter at all.
Okay.
So it was really tough for me to be, he had to keep telling me, like, you have to like it has to be chest to chest. Like you have to really like commit. And I'm like, I want to keep them away from me. So it was like the total opposite of what I had always done. But I ended up finding it so fun. Like when I started to really understand, like it's the puzzle that it is.
Yeah.
I found it to be so, like, I was like, I don't know how it's possible that I could like flip this person. I would have never thought that I could do this.
Yeah.
So it was exciting. It was exciting at the same time.
Yeah. It's kind of fun to like go in and be like, how can I change this angle here to make this bigger person like not like their size advantage a non-factor.
Totally. It felt so much more like physics than boxing does.
Yeah. So what was the between boxing, Muay Thai, and BJJ, you know, besides like the obvious differences of, you know, one is just striking, one is striking and kicking, and one is no striking, what were kind of the differences for you in kind of learning each discipline?
Yeah, I think Muay Thai was a little bit easier for me because I had already had my boxing background. So like I was like, I can do punching. That's what I know how to do. It did take me a while to learn how to use my feet. It took me a while because when you're doing Muay Thai, like when you're using different weapons, you have to completely hold your body differently. Like your weight is held differently, your stance is different. And I didn't really realize how different it was until I started kicking, and then I was like, wow, I have no balance. Like I fall at least once a class. I do like a crazy Charlie Brown kick and like totally fall on my back. So I think it was like, I was like, oh yeah, like I could do this. And then it was more challenging than I expected it to be. But when I first learned boxing, it felt like I had found my sport. It felt like I had found the sport that was like made for my body and my like temperament, and just for like it just fit me so well. Obviously there was like a learning curve, and for me it was mostly like, I think it was head movement that was the most challenging for me. I broke my nose several times throughout college and ended up getting a nose job after I graduated.
Oh my God, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I broke my nose probably like 5 times. So there was like certain aspects to boxing that were really challenging for me, but I think it really clicked. Like for the most part, I was just tough and I was scrappy and I was doing it. It took me a while to get like the finesse of it.
Yeah.
And then for BJJ, it just felt like I had never stepped foot on a mat before. I'd never fought before. It felt like a totally different world. Yeah, I just like, it felt like it was less, I think I'm more of like a fast twitch muscle athlete. And I think BJJ is more long twitch. It's more like, or slow twitch, sorry. It's more like, I don't know, it's sustained. It's very sustained. So that was like a big adjustment for me, for sure.
Yeah. I think there is a place for the fast twitch muscles, especially like depending on your game. Because like there's like, you know, certain moves that are about timing versus pressure.
Totally.
Yeah. Like I'm more of the, did you say slow twitch or long twitch?
Yeah, slow twitch,
like,
I think.
Yeah. And maybe this will change, but yeah, like, so like at least now my game is more the slow pressure game. Like I struggle with the timing. So there's definitely a place for it. People who have like that fast twitch, like they throw me so much because I don't know how to handle them when they do like that quick explosion and then like off balance
movement. Totally. Yeah, I think I haven't really found, I did have to, like I started BJJ in January and then around May, I found a breast lump. I had to, so I went to the doctor and it turned out that I had a few tumors, which turned out to be benign, which is great. But I had to get surgery to get them taken out because it's still a problem. So I kind of had to stop my BJJ journey for a while because it is very chest on chest, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. So I haven't found my like BJJ style yet. I'm hoping to get back into it and actually like make improvements because I am still like very, very basic right now.
And it takes time to find your style. Like I remember right after I got my blue belt, I was talking to one of my teammates and I was like, oh, I think this is going to be my style. And she's like, that might be what it is now, but it can also change. Like over. Yeah.
My style has definitely changed in boxing over 10 years. Like when I first started, I was just full on like run across the ring and just like go, like move forward at all costs. Like don't move your head, just fucking like exchange punches 1 for 1 the whole time. I was Raleigh in that way. And I think over time I've become a much smarter fighter. Because I don't want to nose job. So it's kind of forced me to like a little bit more and like work on timing and be a little bit more like slick and less just like, you know, grunt it out.
Jeannie versus 29-year-old Jeannie.
Totally. My brain is more developed.
You know, your frontal lobe finished developing at 25, so you've got the benefit of, you know, your whole frontal lobe development.
That was huge for me, for sure.
Oh my god. There's something you said earlier I think like resonated with me too, and you talked about like your weight classes, and one of the things I really love about fight sports is that like I care less about the number on the scale. I care about it for making weight, but like my body is a functional thing to do what I love to do, and so like I don't freak out that I weigh more. It's the muscle.
Totally. Yeah, like when I went to Guam and started lifting more and kind of doing CrossFit, my body totally changed. And I probably weighed at least 20 pounds more than I did in college, but I felt so strong. Like it didn't bother me at all. And the weight class thing, it can really take a toll on you, especially like if you're fighting at a very high level. I remember in college, like every single day I was, you know, trying to hit that number. And when we were training for regionals and nationals, like we wouldn't go on spring break. We would do we'd stay at school and we'd do 2 or 3 days every single day.
Oh, wow.
And, I was eating probably like 800 calories a day and just like working so fucking hard and running laps and sparring. And it definitely takes a toll. It takes a toll on your body for sure and on your mental health. And as I've gotten older, like I probably right now I'm not fighting. Once I feel comfortable enough in Muay Thai, I would love to do some Muay Thai fights.
That'd be cool.
But now like I think I have so much more confidence in my body and what it can do for me.
Yeah.
That, like I'm so happy to fight at 147 or, you know, cut down to 132 if I need to. But like I feel much more comfortable doing that and knowing that I will still have this confidence in myself. that I
Yeah.
did not have when I was 19.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like when you're that age, it's like hard enough just existing in the world. And then like to have to make weight for boxing, like I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was like it was a crazy time in my life. I was like dealing with a lot of, I had just gone out of like a really abusive relationship,
Oh.
and I was really, really angry. It ended in a horrible way. It was like the beginning of my sophomore year. He was like really abusive, just terrible guy overall. But the thing that broke us up was that he posted my nudes on a revenge porn site.
Oh my.
Yeah, which like totally rocked my entire world. Like,
Yeah, that's horrific.
Men were just like finding out everything about me. They like were sending my nudes to everybody that I knew, like people from my high school, my parents, my grandparents, like people from my church at home. Like it was devastating.
Oh.
And they eventually found my phone number and my email address and my address at school. And so I dropped out in the beginning of my sophomore year because I was just so like scared of this whole situation. And when I came back to school during the spring semester of my sophomore year, that's when I was invited to boxing, and I found it to be like such a great outlet for all of the like fear that I was holding on to and anger. And like, I felt like such a victim in that time in my life, and I didn't know what to do about it. I just felt so beaten down. And I remember like walking home from class in the dark and just feeling so scared. Like people were making threats on my life, and like these strangers on the internet were saying they were gonna like come find me and like do horrible things. It was really, really scary.
Oh my God.
And it was like really traumatic.
Yeah.
And at first, like boxing was really a way for me to just feel like empowered again and feel like I could defend myself. And I've met so many other women who have similar stories of abuse and domestic violence and have learned fight skills just to be able to protect themselves and like feel safe.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it was for me. And also like I was so angry at men. I was so mad. And the other thing that it healed in me was that I was it was a co-ed team. We didn't have separate women's and men's teams. And so I was sparring with men every single day. I was training with them, and these men became like my brothers. Like they respected me, they lifted me up. And that like healed a really big part of me that was just so like bitter and angry and just felt like betrayed by the entire world. So yeah, it was like really healing to like get out my anger, and also really healing and like just being enveloped in like love and respect.
Yeah. I do feel like on the jiu-jitsu side of it, and the guys that I train with, they do become like your brothers. When you train with the guys that are like truly like allies to women and friends to women, it's funny. My first competition last year, my boyfriend came and he met my teammates, and he was like, they were all giving me the up and down. And I'm like, yeah, they were. Cause like, I'm like their sister.
Yeah, as they should.
Like, yeah.
That's awesome.
I also feel though, like combat sports are a great way to screen out guys that are like not worth your time.
Totally. Yeah, because they will feel emasculated or intimidated by the fact that you do this every day. And yeah, my boyfriend now is like, I mean, most guys that I've dated think it's really cool. I've had some situations where men really like, they don't really respect it, but they like sexualize it in a weird way. And I don't like that. But like most of the men that I've dated are like really just stoked to support me. And my boyfriend now is like, I just love that you're so good at this thing, and like I want to see you do it, and it's awesome. And it's cool to have a guy who's like very secure.
Yeah, it is. And that's like the two relationships I was in prior to getting involved in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Both guys had like a lot of insecurity and a lot of jealousy issues. And I remember like when I first started training and I was like in close proximity to these guys, and we were like rolling on each other and sweating on each other. I was like, they would have been so threatened by this. I just realized, hey, like this is a great, like my first date with my current boyfriend. We've been together 2 years now. I was like, oh yeah, I just started training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and I'm really into it. And he was like, oh, you like to fight? That's cool. And like, I think you learn a lot about um, people that you are trying to date by how they handle the fact that you like fight sports.
100%. Like, and I find myself like, I have a lot of masculine qualities. It's kind of how I've always been. Like, I play like rough and tumble sports, and like I love to. I'm really outdoorsy. I love to camp, climb, and like do all that stuff. And if like a guy can't handle that or feels emasculated by it, like he's just not my guy. It's like I'm also extremely feminine at the same time. Like I can hold both things, and I think it's like a misconception that just because you have these like strong masculine qualities that is like all that you are, and you know, and that's just not the truth at all.
Absolutely. I feel like the women we're in our social circle in Guam, we all kind of have that in common. Like, you know, we're all people that on the weekend will like, you know, go box, train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, hike, get muddy, and then like put on our red lipstick and go to dinner.
Totally. Yeah. And I used to like define myself by like my masculine qualities. Like I wasn't really comfortable with being a girly girl. And I think that's because of like growing up, I just felt like masculine. Anytime I displayed anything masculine, like it was very praised. Like if I wanted to go hunting or fishing or like play softball or any of those things, it was like really lifted up. And if I ever like wanted to like be girly or like do my nails or like have a crush on a boy, it felt like it was really not okay or like embarrassing, you know? And I have two older brothers, so that's probably why. But I think like I always used to like want to be one of the boys and kind of defined myself by like how men looked at me. And that's like how I held myself in fight sports too. And I think I've gotten into my mid and like later 20s, I value my female friendships so highly, and I just learned to embrace this like feminine side of me and like realize that I could hold both things in a way that like I didn't know before.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with that. And I think, you know, that's kind of the beauty of fight sports is, you know, men are the majority, but women are really growing in this world. You know, you look at women's MMA and, you know, I don't know how much you follow like the different fighters, but like there's some really awesome women out there that I like want to cry because I love watching them.
It's so exciting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been sparring. We usually, my coach will go out to, he has a lot of really great relationships with other local Muay Thai gyms and BJJ gyms. And then he also has relationships with ones in Thailand and like all over the world. He judges competitions and stuff. And so he has a great network, and he works together with other gyms and brings together like all of our female fighters because there's only, you know, there's a majority of men in all of our gyms.
Yeah.
So he's been putting together all female sparring rounds like every couple weeks on Sundays, and it's so cool. Like these women are awesome, and like most of them are training for fights, and they're like going really hard and like trying to like to win, and they're competing at a very high level, but they're still so willing. Like I jump in here and I don't really know what I'm doing with Muay Thai. I can help them with their boxing and stuff like that, but they're so patient with me. They're so kind. Like they take time out of their training schedules to teach me things, even though they're the ones that they're fighting. And I've just found like such a community in women in fight sports. Like they just are so generous, truly.
Yeah, they really are. I remember I went to a women's only open mat once, and I think one of the women there made a comment of like, you'll always stick with your jiu-jitsu girls. And there is something, you know, you meet at your gym, or you meet at a seminar or an open mat, and like the next thing you know, you're exchanging Instagrams and you're following each other. Like I had a fight last year, and my friends from another gym that I met through their gym's open mat, they were going also to watch like someone from their gym, but they came to watch my fights too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was so nice to see them, and you know, it's just it's a little community.
it's such a supportive community. And I think like women have gotten a bad rap for being like catty or like,
Yeah.
no, like sometimes I tell people that I spar both men and women, and they'll ask me like, "Oh, I bet the women are like really like crazy." And I'm like, "No, the women fight fucking hard."
Yeah.
But they're like people assume that women are like so much more emotional and like
No.
not at all. For my
Yeah.
experience, I found that men are more emotional in like sparring situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Women
think,
are ruthless.
yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think that like for so long women have just been pitted against each other that
Yeah.
you know that's why it's been that way. And now I feel very lucky to be joining this sport at a time when women are really lifting each other up in like a really cool way.
I agree. Absolutely. So where do you see your journey going in fight sports as you train boxing, Muay Thai, and hopefully getting back into Jiu Jitsu?
That's a great question. I would love to fight Muay Thai. I would love to go to Thailand and like do and train for like a month or two. Just to like really dive into the entire culture. Like boxing doesn't have the same sort of roots that these like Asian fight sports have.
Yeah.
Like deeply entrenched in culture and respect and tradition.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd really love to study that and learn like in that atmosphere at some point. I don't ever see myself like going pro or anything crazy, but like I love the competition, so I could definitely see myself fighting again.
Yeah.
And then yeah, BJJ, like I just want to get like good enough.
Yeah.
I say that now, being somebody who like hates being average at things. So
Yeah.
we'll probably get average at BJJ, and then I'll be like, no, I have to be good. And then I'll dive in all the way.
Yeah. And then what'll happen is you'll get your black belt, and then you'll be like, I feel like a white belt all over again. And then you'll dive even farther.
Totally. I mean, that's how I felt with boxing even. Like you go to a new gym or you like have a different sparring partner or whatever, and it's just like you realize how much you don't know. Like these are sports that you can literally study your entire life. Like I will always be a student of the sport.
Yeah.
And I really can't ever see myself giving up fight sports. Like I've done it for a few months here and there at a time when I've been like in a transition phase or whatever in my life, and I've just always come back to it. I just like miss it so much. And I have so many other hobbies, but fight sports is something that like it gives me so much discipline. I don't want to work out in any other way.
Yeah. No,
I don't want to go to the gym and run on the treadmill.
Oh my God. I had like this infection on my knee. It wasn't staph. It was not related to BJ, but like I couldn't train because like I had like my knee was like infected, and you don't bring that into your gym. And I was like sad panda over on the Stairmaster, like looking at the BJJ room, like
totally. Yeah, just like it becomes such a big part of you that it's like really hard to separate yourself from that. Like it is part of my identity and like who I am. And so I don't know exactly where it will take me in life, but I think like the thing that I know for sure is that I will always be a student of the sport. I will always like have mentors in fighting and like a community there. So
yeah.
No.
So with boxing, Muay Thai, and BJJ, what are your favorite things about each discipline?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. Muay Thai, I love how many weapons there are. Like, I love that you can choose between so many different, like you can kick, you can punch, you can elbow, you can knee, like you can do a spinning back fist, you can do like there's just so much you can do. And it feels like it's so deadly, you know, like almost anything goes. And I think that that's like really exciting. And it forces you to be really smart and really balanced and like really think about what you're doing. Because if you like get in a brawl, it's much more dangerous than getting in a brawl with boxing. So yeah, it's really taught me, like, I love the balancing aspect of it. I love just like how intense it can be. Like I am nowhere near, like my coach will bring in fighters from Thailand, and I just can't believe how hard they can kick. Like the mechanics of it are just so yeah, I love the intensity of Muay Thai. With boxing, oof. I think because it's like you only have one weapon at your disposal, you only have your hands. It's like there's a reason they call it like the sweet science. You just have to be like such a professional in that one thing. You have to like be so precise. You have to be like just practicing those 6 or so punches like over and over and over, and like there's such a discipline to just perfecting that. So I think that that's like the simplicity of it makes it very cool.
Yeah.
And then BJJ, wow, there's just so much. There's so much that I don't know. I love the physics of it. I love that, like, I've never thought about moving my body in those ways before. And so it's always like such a surprise to me when I can do something, like when I can like do an escape or like, I don't know, just like figure out how to like change positions or flip somebody around. Like it feels so exciting whenever you're able to do that without like, yeah, you could do it maybe if you like struggled really hard and muscled your way through it. But when you figure out to like leverage your hips or like do one thing a little bit differently and it changes everything, I think that's like a really cool thing.
Yeah, especially like outside of the drilling when you actually hit something sparring and like there's that moment of like it actually worked that time. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that's it. Like every time I've sparred any type of fight sports, my coach has been telling me to do this thing for, you know, however many weeks, and then I actually do it in sparring and I execute it and I'm like, holy shit.
like hey. And I feel like that's like the progress. I mean, and this just might be in life in general. Like you never actually see your progress. You just like one day something works for you that hadn't been working, or like you are able to like not get subbed a minute longer with someone than like you had a week before, and you're like, oh, I guess I have improved. Like,
yeah, it's totally a small way. Like you're never gonna walk in one day and go from being like a complete beginner to like being a badass. Like it takes a long fucking time, but it's small wins that keep you going, you know, even if like I try to train Muay Thai probably 3 times a week. I coach boxing once a week. And back when I was doing BJJ, like I would do it probably twice a week. And like, it's just such a toss up when you're starting out. Like one day I'm fucking terrible at teeps. You know what I mean? Like teeps they're just not working for me. And then I come in and like something will click and I'll be able to do like a bicycle teep, like something that I never thought I could do before. So it's just like taking it. I think it's just being patient with yourself and like understanding that that's as somebody who like obviously I really like to be good at things and I'm hard on myself when I'm not. That's like a big lesson that I've had to learn, is just taking the good and the bad and realizing that like you're still moving up. It might just not look like this. It looks like, you know, it's a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is the most challenging for you in each discipline, or just in being a woman in the fight sports community in general?
Ooh, the most challenging thing for me, I think probably just like taking it easy on myself. I think that I put a lot of pressure on myself to like do everything, especially multiple fight sports. Like I also, you know, I have a full-time job. I also run a nonprofit on the side. I coach boxing and then I freelance. Like I've got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a good climber and like I'm trying to do all these fight sports. And I think just like, I don't know, giving myself some grace to be like, you don't have to like do all of these things and do them all well. It's okay to like sit in the struggle. It's okay to be bad at things. It's okay to like just have all this uncertainty and move through it. And something that a girl that I train with often, she said this the other day. They were doing like a video. They did like an all women's sparring session and they were a video and like interviewing a lot of the women on, you know, what they love about fight sports and stuff. And she said something that really hit me. She said the thing that she likes most about Muay Thai is moving with conviction in complete uncertainty, which I think is so accurate just to fight and in life. Like, I hate those gray areas and I like to have shit figured out. And I think that like fight sports have really taught me that it's okay to like be in that gray area, but just like do it anyways. Just like commit and send.
Yeah. That's
a challenge.
Like competing in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I don't know if it's like this in Muay Thai or boxing, but you have like your game plan. And the thing that was always hard for me is like, well, what about their game plan? Like what, and you have to like disregard, don't think about it. Just go in with what you want to do. Right.
Because if you just half send, like you're not, that's not going to work. You have to like fully commit to whatever you're doing. And if you lost, then at least you know that you tried your best. At least you know that you went out there and you did it. And easy as that sounds, like that really is the satisfaction of it.
Yeah. And that's something I still like. I think like my fights that I've had, like there have been like shades of that, but then like I also know that I have like a mental block that I'm still working through. And I think it is like being okay with that uncertainty.
100%. And I've lost fights before because I have just given into that like darkness in your mind when you're fighting, that you just don't believe in yourself and you like don't think that you can do it, or you've been shaken up a little bit because your game plan is thrown off and then you just like derail. I've lost fights because of that. And like some of my best fights have been fights that I've lost, but I fucking went, you know, I tried my best and I fought some of the best fights of my life on that mentality. So
yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's interested in training any of the fight sports, like a woman who's thinking about getting into it, but maybe a little hesitant?
I would just say, like, everybody else is also insecure. And I know that's hard to believe because, well, here's the other thing. It's just to find the right gym. Like a lot of gyms, there's a lot of ego. Like, that's just the truth of it. Fight sports can bring out the worst in people, but I think they can also bring out the best in people. So like step one is find the right gym, find people who are really supportive, really humble, like willing to teach you, and people who are students of the sport for a lifetime. Like even if they're a black belt, they're still learning. That is the mentality of the gym that you want to be in, I think. And then second of all, like, understanding that everybody is insecure about their like fight game and just in general. Like anytime I'm in the gym, like lifting or something, I'm terrible at lifting. I think that everybody's looking at me and I'm so embarrassed and whatever, but they're not. They're looking at themselves. They're thinking the same exact things. So I think just like not being embarrassed because you're bad at it, because you're going to be bad at it. And everybody started there at some point. Even the highest professor at your gym was at one point a white belt. They've never been there. So it's a hard thing to remind yourself of, especially when like every Muay Thai class, I'm not kidding you, I literally fall on my ass at least once. It's so embarrassing, but I'm just like, it's like a joke of the gym now. And I've just owned it. And that's all you can really do, you know?
Yeah, totally. And you're so right about researching your gyms. Like it was something I didn't even know about. And I just lucked into, luckily, a healthy training environment, but there can be toxic training environments.
100%.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast one time and they were giving advice for picking your gym. And they were like, Google the head instructor and the words rape accusations. And I'm like...
So accurate, honestly, because like fighting can attract a seedy type of person, like truthfully. People who have a lot of like violence issues or anger or whatever, like you just don't know. You don't know what type of people it's going to attract and like what type of egos are going to clash or whatever. So don't be afraid to like, if something makes you uncomfortable, like don't be afraid to also just leave a gym. Like fuck that. You don't have to do that. There's really, really great people out there to train with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Research your gyms. Definitely. Especially as a woman.
I've sparred with guys who like have really taken pleasure in like kicking the shit out of me, and it doesn't feel good. Like you can just tell ego trip. And obviously, like I'm too prideful to back down. So then it puts you in a dangerous situation. And luckily, like most of, especially the guys that I've fought have been like really respectful, and that's always a fear, you know. But yeah, luckily I've like really found great people and surrounded myself with an awesome community. But it's a real risk, you know?
Yeah. I think the majority of the community is great, but I think there are people who see it as a place to hide in plain sight, and they are the minority, but you have to look out for them.
Totally. And, you know, it's with anything. Like, yeah, I think fight sports is just a much more physical manifestation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the questions I have for you. If people either want to come like take a boxing class from you or find you on social media, do you have anything that you want to share so people can find you?
Yeah, totally. If you're ever in the Denver area, I teach at Six Blades at the downtown location. I think we're going to sunset the boxing class. I'm going to start teaching Muay Thai, which is really exciting and really scary. But if you're interested in boxing too, I can hook you up with the right people. I also do personal sessions. My coach is Danny, Coach Jeannie. He's freaking incredible. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is Jeannie_Jaunts. It's mostly pictures of me hiking and climbing and some fight stuff here and there. And I always tag my gym and things like that. So yeah, if you're ever in the Denver area, please hit me up.
Yeah, go train with Jeannie.
Yeah, I'm not a BJJ professional, but we have a ton of black belts at my gym who are incredible and awesome professors. So
yeah,
I recommend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jeannie. I appreciate your perspective and learning about your background in boxing and Muay Thai.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Hopefully next time we connect, I'll be a higher belt.
We'll do the reunion episode like a year from now, and we'll be like, where are you now?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready to it.
Cool. Thanks so much. This is a really great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. All right.
Well, bye. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Jeannie. It was really fun for me to catch up with her and talk about fight sports now that that's something we both have in common. And I've got more great guests and topics coming your way in the coming weeks, including episodes on safety and injuries and BJJ nutrition, as I talked about at the beginning, and also mental health. I'm also working on launching a YouTube channel for these episodes as another means for you all to listen and watch. But you can also follow wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or a story you'd like to share, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at BJJBabesPodcast or send me an email, bjjbabespodcast@gmail.com. All right, until next week, later, babes.